Hey engineering students, this is the week 4A coding video, and we're actually coming to the end of this little series. This is the last week that we're spending doing this, although you will continue to use Python to program your robots. Of course, you have full access to Replit, so if you want to take this further, if you want to teach yourself, there's so many resources and you can just keep it right on going. You can use this whether you're taking chemistry or physics or algebra 2 or calculus. I have written like Riemann sum programs in calculus, for example. You can do physics calculators. There's no end, so please keep it going. There's also lots of other fun modules in Python that involve like pictures and graphics and things, and you can look those up and get on into them. I'd love to help you out in any way that I can. So for this last week, we actually have one project that's going to last the whole week, and I want the first half of the week to be kind of a first draft. So you'll share that first draft with me, and then I can check how it's going. I can give feedback, and then in the last half of the week, it won't be a different project. You'll be working on the same thing, but you're just bringing it through to completion based on my feedback. So there will still be 2 grades. Should still be easy to get a great grade. I will warn you, there could be a lot of time spent doing this. It would be easy for it to be a time suck. If you are enjoying it, that's a good thing, but if you've got a lot of other stuff to do, be warned. If you think you got a really good thing going and you just want an extension too because you want to keep developing it, then I'm open to that as well. I want this to be good, but I don't intend for it to be a huge burden. I have completed my little practice project that I did, and I'm going to say I've probably sunk about 4 hours into this thing over several days, and I was enjoying myself absolutely. You don't need to spend 4 hours, so keep the scope and size correct. So what is it? What am I talking about? We are going to have you do a role-playing game. Okay, we're going to do some kind of text-based role-playing game. So that is, again, for the whole of this week. Whole of this week. Again, we're saying sort of a first draft due in the first half of the week. Whoa. Fingers will be cold. And then the full game at the end of the week. Okay. Now, as I built my own game, I want to say there's a couple of ways you could do this. So I'm gonna try to switch apps here. We'll see if we can give you some ideas as to what you might do. I hope that you've got at least some experience playing some video games. Remember, this is text-based. This is not graphics-based. So this will really focus on the gameplay aspect. So try to come up with a good idea. Keep it simple. Here are some examples of things you might do. You could do, like, imagine an Egyptian exploration game where you were exploring like the chambers of the pyramids, and you're going through them one by one, finding artifacts. Maybe there's some clues involved. There's passageways you're going down or something like that. That would lend itself well to this, I think. I could easily imagine kind of a Dungeons and Dragons sort of game. If you're doing one like this, it's a little different maybe than Egyptian exploration or like a cave exploration. I'll talk more about it in a second. I think if you wanted to pick a Star Wars theme or something, if you want to do like a Mandalorian sort of thing where you're walking around on Tatooine or wherever, and you're have a particular mission, or maybe talking to people or something, making choices, I think that'd all be great. And then maybe another kind of one. This is what I'm going to show you actually in a second. I did a game called Asteroid Miner. So let me start with Asteroid Miner first. It's pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of it. I did sink, as I said, at least 4 hours into it. So this one is what we would call a real resource management game. It's a spaceship. You're out there, and then you basically just have options as to what you can do. You have particular resources to manage. The resources that I gave this game were like the ammo, like how many missiles did you have? I had a cargo capacity, like as you mine asteroids, you fill up your cargo. And then cash is another resource. You go back to your home base, you sell the cargo that you've mined, and you get cash. And then it's definitely just kind of a recurring sort of game. There's no actual end to it unless you run out of money or you get blown up. But the point is that it keeps on going, and you're making decisions. Do I mine? Do I travel to a new system? Do I sell what I have? Do I repair my hull or buy more missiles, or do I just go out there and chance it that I might face down to some space pirates? This all sounds very complex. That's why it's a few hundred lines of code. But it's just like a recurring, over and over again, the same decisions mostly. And then every now and again you get into some battles with the dread space pirate Robert. But that's a resource management, okay? So different variables, they're kind of going up and down. You're choosing to like buy things, use your cash, sell your ore, things like that. That might also lend itself well maybe to like a Settlers of Catan style game, maybe. Something like a Dungeons and Dragons or The Mandalorian, that could be similar, okay? I'd say less resource management. This is more sort of like adventure style. So I think this one would be a little more maybe like text-based, like as in words and phrases and reading things, characters that are talking to you, and then you deciding what to do. But you would also definitely have some resources. Like you might have like ammo. How many shots do you have in your missile launcher or in your blaster? You might have like an armor or a health. Just spelled it like an American. Armor or health, life, whatever you want to call that, hearts. You could have then like particular items, maybe like you collect items. If you have a particular item, this can happen. Or if you don't, it just doesn't happen. That would be one way to do this. Again, all this sounds fairly complex. I want you to keep the scope realistic. Please don't get in over your head. And then you might have more like an Egyptian exploration or like a cave, kind of game, or a mansion or a building or something. And this, I think, would be, instead of just a recurring same situation, it's always happening, you want to manage it. This might be more like you have particular rooms or locations, and then you decide how those places are going to connect up. And as you move to those different locations, different scenes, there's a very definite set of things that can happen there. Maybe you have options like you get into the main room. Do you want to look around? I don't know, light the flaming torch, use items, I don't know. Turn left, turn right, things like that. Do you want to go into the next room? And then you could have still some resources and things like that to manage, maybe like cash or bullets or whatever. Now in all of these, I'm going to say any of these games are going to be made far more interesting if there is some kind of randomizer element. Okay, so an example of a random element in the game could be, in my Asteroid Miner game, when you go to mine the asteroid, it's random as to how many asteroids you find that you can take in as cargo. And it might be anywhere between 0 to 6. All right, so every time you search, you get a random number come back. It might be 0, it might be up to 6, could be 3, 2, whatever. When you come back to base and you try to sell your cargo, the market's fluctuating, I guess, and it's a random element as to what the price is at that time and how many you can sell on the market. And then you get the product of those back as cash. When you fight the space pirate, It's random as to whether he fires first or you fire. Does the missile hit or miss? It is based on the characteristics of the spaceship that you choose. There's a heavy freighter, there's a mid-sized cruiser, and there's a light space yacht. And so they have different like ammo capacities, different hull capacities. It's a little involved. But you can see how there's the random element. If you're doing like the Egyptian exploration or like a cave finding, building searching game, or a detective game maybe, that could be another good one actually, like a detective story. You can still have randomizer elements built into that, and you should. Like when you step into the room, maybe like 3 times out of 4, it's just a room and nothing happens. But 1 time out of every 4, like a spider jumps at you or something, you got to shoot it or dodge or something. I don't know. Maybe you get a phone call from the chief, 1 time out of every 10, telling you to, I don't know, that you got a promotion. Whatever. Dungeons and Dragons or a Mandalorian thing, you're going to shoot someone. You'd have a randomizer, 50% chance it hits, 50% it misses. Maybe it's a higher chance if you're using your blaster, a lower chance if you use the missile launcher or something. I think you get the idea. So we want to have those random elements. Decide if it's going to be a recurring over and over again same scenario thing where you're managing resources, or is it more like particular scenes? We're going to be using a lot of variables, a lot of functions. I need to show you a little bit about that. Be very mindful of the way that input comes into the program. Okay, that's another big question to consider no matter what you're doing. How do you receive input? In my Asteroid Miner game, the person only is ever making choices using numbers. In every instance, I just gave a list. I said do you want to, 1, travel to a different system, 2, repair your hull, 3, restock your missiles, 4, sell your ore. So the person always simply types a number. And then I actually have what I might call data validation. I use a while loop to actually check as the input is typed, is the input one of those numbers that I'm looking for? It's very, very specific. If you type anything other than the number 1, 2, 3, or 4, it actually asks you again. It keeps rejecting the input, asks for it again. As soon as you give one of those 4 answers, it turns it into an integer and then runs all of the if, elif, else kind of decision trees. Now, you may have input that is text-based. So you might be in a Dungeons and Dragons game and a troll is blocking the bridge and the troll says, "What is your name?" And you say, "James." And the troll says back to you, "Okay, James." In that case, your data validation doesn't need to be very strong. But yeah. Another thing, I'll just put it up here as well. You might want to consider for any of these games having some kind of an intro sequence, which is separate from the main flow of the game. In my intro sequence, sort of very briefly introduces the game, and it asks the user which of the 3 spaceship types you'd like. When you pick one, it tells you, great, good choice, here's the characteristics, and then it goes on, and then it launches into the main cycle of the game. If you were doing like a Mandalorian, you might choose, are you Grogu or are you Mando? You might be in a detective story and you choose, are you going to take the pistol or the shotgun with you? I think detectives carry shotguns. Maybe you pick one item or something. Dungeons and Dragons, you might pick what class you are. Are you thief or soldier? Warrior? I don't know what there are. I did once in the day. Mr. Hurt knows. So anyway, that's kind of some of the intro stuff. Let me show you a few things before I show you Asteroid Miner. Notice, by the way, that this is very, very open. I'm not giving you a ton of direction. I'm just telling you themes and ideas because I I want you to kind of take this up. But I think once you see Asteroid Miner, you'll get it. It's probably going to confuse the heck out of you as well. All right, so first of all, if you want to use random elements, here's how you got to do it. You have to actually import random. Just like we've done import math, please write this down in your notes, import random. That will bring in the randomizer module. And by the way, I think when you type import, you get a bunch of, come on. Can you get suggestions? Okay, I thought it gives you suggestions. Maybe my connection is a little loose right now. Okay, but import random will let us use that. And then there's different ways we can do that. Just like we had like math.square sqrt. It was always like math.pi, math.sqrt. It refers back to which library it comes from. In the same way, you have to do random dot, and then you can use the different ones. Now, the one which I found that I used over and over again is rand range. And what that is, you define the range of numbers, and then it picks randomly one of those. A little word to you first. In computer science, it is actually very, very hard to get true random numbers. Running rand range, I think any of the ones in the random library actually, if I was reading it correctly, all of the numbers that come out of a randomizer in this package are actually deterministic. They're not truly random. It's actually a, what's the word they use? It's like a randomizer simulator, or there's another word they use, but it's not truly random. It comes out of some like incredibly complicated function, or it's looking at prime numbers or something, or it's doing weird things, but they actually caution you and say, don't use this randomizer as like an encryption key or anything like that, because it is deterministic. It's based on something. You can have randomizers that rely on the date, time, second of like whatever time it is right now. So it's always changing. You can have complex functions. It can be based on prime numbers. There's different ways it can happen. But here's how you finish this off. Random.randRange, and then you do like something like that. Now, does that look familiar to you? That's like when we would do range 1, 11, 1. That's saying start at 1, don't go up to 11, stop before you get 11, and count in increments of 1. These are returning integers. When we run this, every time we run it, boom, I could even do this. While true, that creates an infinite loop, because true is always true. And then I'm going to actually do, look at this. I'm going to require some input, not because I plan on using it, but because it just pauses the program and waits for the user to do anything, to input anything. 4, 6, 6, 3, 3, 3, 10, 3, 3. It doesn't feel very random. There's a lot of 3s in there, but it is pseudo-random. That's the word I wanted, pseudo-random. I notice 1 doesn't seem to come up a lot, but we're definitely never getting higher than 10. 10 is the absolute highest. Okay, there it goes. Again, that was an infinite loop because it was while true. Remember, a while, like if or elif, is looking for a condition to be true right here. So when you type the logic value true, it'll always run. Let me show you something else actually, because I think it was Joshua maybe, use this command, and it's good. We could say if, so we can print that. Actually, let's restructure this slightly. Let's create a variable called number, which is produced with this pseudo randomizer. Then maybe we could actually do it right here. Now, don't get confused by this. This is just saying it has the number has the random number in the variable called number, it's going to print that and then wait for the input. It's going to wait. That's the thing that I'm trying to do here. I could have done this a different way. I could have said like print number and then just waited for the input. Oops. But I thought maybe it's slightly more elegant to use one less line of code and have the thing that I want just right there in the input argument. Anyway, then if number is ever equal to 10, oops, I need my double equal sign. If number is ever equal to 10, when that comes back as true, we're actually going to break. And I'm just going to leave it there, because if it's not 10, well, yeah, I'll use else. Else print didn't get 10 yet. And that break, what that does, that breaks this while loop and it jumps out. Let's run this. 9. Didn't get 10 yet. 3. Didn't get 10 yet. 10. All right, I got 10. So that's why it stopped. Now I don't think break completely ends the whole program. I think it just ends the loop, the while loop that you happen to be in. Let's check that here. Didn't get 10 yet. Didn't get 10 yet. Didn't get. Okay, good. It just broke the while loop because it still then ran line 17, which is part of the overall code. It just got us out of that. So that's a good way that, to sort of wait for condition. Another way to do that is maybe a little more straightforward. I don't know. Maybe it's not. But you can do while number is not equal to 10, then you run this. I guess that is fewer lines of code, which is the mark of elegance when it comes to code. Oops, what do we mess up? Oh, I didn't define number yet. See, this name number is not defined. I used it with like a comparison check, but I hadn't actually invented it yet. Like chronologically down the page, I hadn't invented it yet. So I do have to, what can I do? Let's say number is 11. I'm doing that to force it to be an integer while not giving it any of the values that are going to be generated, just kind of outside the range of possible values, just to keep it completely separate. 3. Didn't get 10 yet. See, I get the exact same behavior. Oh, except it said didn't say 10 yet. Yeah, that's just because the order of which I wrote the code, because it prints it all and then does the check again. So there's absolutely ways to rearrange that so that it would make a little more sense. Okay, I am going to probably have to turn that off, or that's going to keep me from running any other code for a very long time that I want to show you. Okay, all right, we'll keep the randomizer. We'll turn all this off, as it were. Okay, now something else I'm going to come back to. We have already talked about this, but I want to remind you about creating functions, because you'll really see the usefulness of functions now. Remember, we write functions by saying def, or define, or definition. We give it a name. You might be like in the Egyptian pyramid, and you say check room. You do open close parentheses. You can choose to put an argument in here if you wish, or even multiple arguments. Okay, you can have more than one thing that gets input, which might affect the outcome, or if it's just something that just happens and doesn't need any input, you just keep the parentheses like that. A function might look like this. You might say, let's do a new line. you look around the room. I don't think, is there a wait? I don't think there's any kind of wait or pause. I don't think there's any kind of timing element in Python that you can do. I'm probably wrong. There probably is. I'm not familiar with it. You can look it up. You look around the room, and then you might do something like this. You might say, here's an example of how this could work. You might say, all right, 1 out of every 4 times I want them to find something. 3 out of every 4 times is just a normal room. There's nothing there. So you might do something like this. You might say, all right, ooh, careful, objects in room equals random dot rand range 1, 5, 1. Okay, now see what this is doing. It's creating a range between 1, 2, 3, and 4, not including 5, counting by ones. That means we've got 4 possibilities because we want a 1 in 4 chance of something happening. Oops. So I define that, and then I say, maybe I'll scroll up a little bit there. I say if objects in room is 1. Okay, in other words, 1 out of those 4 possibilities, you find something, whoops, of value. Else, nothing to see here. And then I think what you'd probably do under this as well, you might say, you might have another function there that kind of, randomly picks what object you find, or maybe it's something like this. Maybe you say found money, rand range. Maybe you want them to find between 1 and 10 coins. So you say you found, oops, string, oops, found money. There you go. You found a certain amount of coins. Now what I'd be doing next is I'd be adding the money they found. Oops. Money. Let's say wallet. Let's call wallet is their little bank account. Wallet equals wallet plus whatever found money was in there. Now I haven't defined wallet yet, so you gotta be really careful. That means near the start of my code, somewhere probably in the intro sequence, I just got to define that I have a variable called wallet. Maybe I start with 0 coins. Maybe you start me off with 5 coins, if you're feeling generous. This will be right at the very beginning to make sure that Python knows this is an integer variable and that it exists. Okay. Now you don't have to do that for objects in room because that is being defined right here. Okay. A single equal sign is when something is defined. But see this would get upset. Okay, let me actually mention now what's popping up in this little gray text box. Local variable wallet is assigned to but never used. It's complaining that this variable called wallet hasn't been defined. We're using it, we haven't defined it, and we're like, wait, I just defined it out here. I defined it out here in the initial setup part of the code. So here's something that's a little tricky to remember, but you must remember it. When you are going to use functions to create things that are going to happen over and over again all through the game at any time, which is vastly a better way to do it. Okay, it's a very good way to do it. You have to actually think at the start of the function, you have to think about any global variables. You've got to create, like what we want is what's called a global variable. A global variable is global in nature. It reaches into functions. It can be used anytime, at any point, by any function, any loop, doesn't matter. But when you are inside a function, if you create a variable for the first time inside a function, like objects in room is a variable, I didn't create it outside in the global world. I created it just inside the function check room. So that is actually a local variable. If you want to use global variables in your functions as well as outside of them, then you define them outside. Okay, so you must define them outside of any function. It's very important. Write that down in your notebook. But then you have to put this little extra line of code. You've got to say global wallet. Okay, this brings the global variable into the function so it can be used. If you don't do that, it's actually going to invent another local variable, but only inside the function. So it's not going to affect the money count that you're trying to keep track of in general through the whole game. It'll be locked in locally, only in the function. You don't want that. So you put this little line of code. So you create it first. You say global, say the word again, and now it is speaking to that global one. So now we get down to here. It's going to be pretty happy. It's going to pick up on that global wallet. It's going to add the found money to it, and all will be well. By the way, another way to do that, what I just did there, this is a slight little shortcut. If you prefer, you can do this. You can do plus equals. Plus equals takes one variable and then keeps it and then adds to it whatever you write next. So these two lines of code, line 30 and 31, are actually identical, but line 31 is obviously a little faster to write. So I'm going to hashtag that out of the way. Just to remind you, that is the exact same thing, but if you can, you should do this. You can also, by the way, you can add negative amounts. Okay, if you want to subtract away, if you have like a certain amount of health and you want to subtract when they get hit by an ender dragon, then you will add the subtraction. I'm not sure if like subtract equals works. So far, I've just been doing plus equals and then subtracting things. Okay. Now, remember, all of this is just inside the function that I created, which is about checking rooms. I have to actually still build the code which will run. So let me do something like this. While true, infinite loop. I'm going to say you come to a mysterious room. Let's do the little new line. Let's see. Do a new line there. What would you like to do? And I'm going to help the user out. Again, this is how I did Asteroid Miner. Look around. Look around. Look around. Leave, I guess, would be another option. Okay, we'll keep it at those two. And then I'm going to Okay, let's avoid data validation for a second. We're going to say, oh, I need to do input, don't I? So let's call it like choice. Choice equals input and that. Okay, if choice equals 1, which is the look around. Oh, and I need to force that to become an integer, don't I? Wait a minute, let me do that the other way. I think I have to do it like this. Take the input and then integerize it. Okay, look at that. Again, there is no data validation here. It is not very elegant. If a person types cat, it's going to kill the program. It's going to break it with a red error message. That's why we do data validation, but forget that for a second. If choice, I forgot my double equal sign again. If choice equals 1, in other words, they chose to look around, then we are going to run the function that we created, check room. Don't forget those open close parentheses, check room. Or else we'll just imagine they're going to a different room. Go to a different room. This is going to be a very, very boring adventure game right now. But let's see if it works. You come to a mysterious room. What would you like to do? You know, I'm going to stop it right there. I would rather the person typed their input maybe like even 2 separate lines down. I do like my visualization page. Look at that. What would I like to do? Look around. Let's leave. You leave and go to a different room. You come to a mysterious room. What would you like to do? And you can keep this up all day. Now, once again, if I type random words, I just get an error message. Okay, now what if we look around? Look around. You look around the room, nothing to see here. Now, again, I already see that this is not the world's best game because I look around the room, but then it says you come to a mysterious room. So I need to think more about how to structure, like when do I say things? Do I put them inside particular functions? Is it in the main flow of stuff? You have to clean it up. I don't expect perfection, but you should try to solve things like that. Let's look around. Nothing to see here. I'm going to look around, look around, look around. Come on. Like a 1 in 4 chance. All right, I did it. I found something of value. I found 7 coins. Wow. Now, right now, I don't really know what's in my wallet. I would like to know what's in my wallet every single time. So in this while true loop, there's a few ways you could do this. You could say, I don't know, you could make counting money be one of your things. Now, if you start to have more than 2 cases, then you have to start doing elif. Elif choice equals 2. Okay, you leave and go to a different room. However, if they make choice number 3 count money, then we're gonna count their money up for them. We're gonna say you currently have got to turn our money into a string. Wallet is the variable. See why you want to name things that are easy to remember. Coins in your purse, in your money bag. And that's going to actually show us, and this is a way to check our game, check our code to see, is the variable on line 31, is that actually updating wallet with the found money every time? Let's find out. Let's count our money first. 5 coins. Oh, I started us off with 5 coins. I'm a generous soul. All right, I have 5 coins. Let's... No weird things. Nope, we keep counting. It's always the same. We're going to look around. Nothing to see. Looking. This is, by the way, you can see that. This is the lame thing about this kind of input where it's all numerical, is the user can very quickly learn to just go 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1, 2, 1, 2, and like learn the sequence of keys and just do it, and it's not very fun. Okay, I found 2 coins. Let's count our money. We should have 7 coins. I do. I currently have 7 coins in my purse. Okay, we're getting there. Now, let's just talk a little bit about structure. I really need you to get this right, or you might just get sort of confused. Here's the structure I used for my Asteroid Miner game, which I'll show you soon. I know you can't wait. I began with things like import random, defining and assigning initial variables. I did have an intro sequence where I ask which ship they want, and based on that is how much hull integrity, how much cargo capacity I give, things like that. And then I actually defined all my functions. Here's one function, but there could be all sorts of things they do. Like, what can a person do in a room? I don't know. Can they, let's see. What do you do in a room? I don't know. I'm in Egypt. I'm under a Mayan ruin. What do I do? I might sing. Okay. And then you can as many different possible actions you can think of is how many different functions you could create. And then of course you have to just list more and more options in your choices here. And whatever happens is handled in the functions. Don't forget to put those global renaming the variables if it's going to use variables. But that's how it works. You define as many of them as you want. I think I have about maybe 8 functions, and some of them are quite lengthy. Like the battle sequence function has a lot going on because it's, you're like fighting the dread space pirate Robert, and there's a lot of probability and depends on what ship you have. But then after that, you have this overall kind of master control loop, which keeps on going through. And that's really where the actual program is running. Every time for me, I was, instead of a while true, I started while true, then I changed and I said, well, maybe I need to actually do while, actually I forget if I change this now. I probably need to check while my hull integrity is greater than 0. Then I'll keep looping. If it ever gets down to 0, it ends. Or maybe it was money. While my money is more than 0, I will, I'll keep the game running. If I ever get to 0, the while loop will break and then the game will finish. So I'm going to do this. I'm going to say, you found enough money to retire. Well done. So maybe you know what I'm about to do. I'm about to say, while money is less than 20. Okay? While I have less than 20 coins, I'm going to keep on looping and running the game. As soon as I reach my target, you got to think, what's the target? What's the end goal here? Then I'm going to break that master while loop, and I'm going to print a successful message. This could take a while, folks. Are you ready? Money is not defined. Oh, I'm sorry. It wasn't money, was it? It was wallet. While wallet is less than 20, I'm going to run the program. Here we go. I'm going to look around. I'm just going to look until I get the money. This does not feel like a 1 in 4 chance. 6 coins, 1 coin. There's no way it's 1 in 4. 7 coins. Wait, how much money do I have? 19. I'm almost there. Look around. Look around. I found 7 coins. You found enough money to retire. Well done. All right, so there's some goal, or there's a negative thing. If this is an infinite game, then you might have a negative thing, like you run out of life. Or maybe you are Mando trying to recover Grogu back from, I don't know who it is. It's not the First Order, is it? Is it just the Empire still? Moff Gideon. And once you find Grogu, maybe the game ends. Could be anything like that. Maybe if you're exploring Egyptian chambers, you're trying to find your way out. So you might have a variable that keeps track of what room you're in. Okay, maybe room equals just like a text one. And as you go through different rooms, you replace that room variable with the name of the room that you're currently in. And then finally, you know, for as long as room is not equal to outside, then it would keep running. You know, so eventually you find your way outside, it puts that in. This will come back as false because it will be equal to outside. It jumps out, and then you finish the game. You know, that's, I'm just going to undo all those changes so that my program still works. Okay, those are all things you do. Okay, let me show you Asteroid Miner. I'll obviously share the link with you as well. Please don't copy my text wholesale, but you can absolutely look at it to get ideas. Mine is more complex than it needs to be, but I had way too much fun with it. Here it goes, Asteroid Miner, version 1. Check this out. I'll show you the code soon. Hold on. Let's move me out of the way as well. All right, here I am. Welcome to the cold depths of space. You ready to make your fortune, Asteroid Miner? Press enter to begin. I got this idea from Nolan, actually, I think it was. Nolan always has like a little, are you ready? He described it as, you know, turning the ignition in the car. Are you ready? Are you actually sitting there in front of the computer? Yes, I am. Press enter. Which asteroid miner would you like to fly? Heavy cargo freighter, mid-sized cruiser, light space yacht. Let's go to the light space yacht. Good choice. The light space yacht doesn't carry much ore, but it is very fast and comes with 4 missiles. Now, in my game, I gave a little status check every time. Maybe I wouldn't do that. I'm not sure. Maybe I would. 100 credits, 4 missiles, 0 cargo, 100% hull strength. And there are my options what to do. You could also do something graphic, like as in text graphics. Like you could have maybe like a little health bar that goes up and down. It's possible. You could do it. You could do it by printing a certain character of text times, with the asterisk, times the number of health that you have. Okay, nice visual way to do it. Okay, we are gonna try to sell my ore. Oh, wait a minute, you have no ore to sell. Nobody is interested. See, I have 0 cargo. I could try to repair my hull. You don't need to repair your hull. It's in mint condition. This is checking every case, by the way. I went through, I tried to break this thing, find things that didn't make sense. That's why it took me so long. Should I reload my ammo? No. I don't need to buy any more missiles. I'm at capacity. I got 4 missiles. All right, well, I guess I'll travel to a new system. You arrive in a strange new solar system with interesting people, bizarre landscape, and spicy food. If I was going to do this over again, or add more to it, I think I'd try to come up with some kind of random name generator for my solar systems. Like maybe I'd have a collection of like 5 prefixes and 5 suffixes and just like match them up randomly. And maybe like the adjectives, I'd have like a list of adjectives to pick from and just make it funny and interesting. Would that be funny and interesting? Maybe not. Now notice, because I flew to my solar system, that took up 5 credits. I decided to use credits instead of fuel. I could have done a variable of fuel as well. I have credits, missiles, cargo, and hull. I also have missile capacity, cargo capacity, and hull, like max hull. Those ones don't change, but the ones for how many of those things I do, those do change. What do you want to do? I'm in the solar system. I'm going to search for ore. Great. You go searching for ore. The search is long and hard, uncovering 4 asteroids with ore. Would you like to mine it? Yes. And by the way, searching for ore also uses up money. Not too much, apparently. 1 credit? I thought it was more than that. Let's keep searching. Yeah, let's keep mining that. 87 credits now. Oh, you know what? It's a randomizer. The search for ore cost me a random amount of money. It's just the way it works. Let's keep searching for ore. Oh no! Look what happened. You were attacked by the dreaded space pirate Robert. You have 4 missiles, little status check for the battle. 4 missiles, 100% hull integrity. Robert files a missile before you do. It's a direct hit. That's going to hurt me. Again, if I was going to make this a little better, I'd probably have some kind of pause, or like have to press enter instead of the whole battle sort of appearing immediately, because it takes away from the suspense. But do I want to engage or get out of there? And by the way, the chance for the dreaded space pirate Robert to hit me with his missile is connected to the agility of my spacecraft, which is whether it was like a heavy cruiser, the mid-range, or the light one. So the light one escapes easier. Apparently not that easy. I'm going to engage him. I got missiles. I got 4 of them. A narrow miss. I'm still engaging. I'm using up missiles as I go. Oh. Robert files a missile before you do. It's a direct hit. Your story comes to an end as the dread space pirate Robert collects your floating debris. Okay, I just found a bug. I didn't spot this earlier. This is a mistake in my code where I'm dead. Look at me. I have 87 credits, 2 missiles, 6 cargo, and 0 hull strength. So I'm gone. But the game is still running. That should have killed the whole game. I need to look to see if there's a command that maybe ends the whole game. Like ends all the code, because that's what I really wanted. I'm sure there's a command to do that. Kind of like break, but like a global sort of break. I guess I'll travel back to my home system. Even though I have 0% hull strength, I'm going to repair my hull with a 2. Notice my credits are going down as I do that. I'm going to reload my ammo 3. Look at my missiles. Going back up. Credits going down. Missiles are expensive. If I try to buy too many, again, it tells me I'm at capacity. And look, I got 6 cargo, so I can actually sell my ore. I managed to sell 3 units of ore for 10 credits each. That's great. I get 30 credits then. Let's sell the ore again. 2 units this time. You know, the market's kind of tough. 8 credits, yeah, it's not buying so well. My cargo's down. I'm going to sell again. And I have a little thing that checks how much cargo I have, and it limits the possible amount that I could sell as that number. That's why, see how I had 1 cargo, and even though probably my randomizer found a number greater than 1, it did a little logic check and said, if greater than 1, put it back down to whatever I have in my cargo. Anyway, I'm not doing great. I get 85 credits. I started with 100. I'm back up to 4 missiles. I somehow survived the dread space pirate Roberts blowing me to smithereens. The game is still running. You can also end this game if I keep just traveling randomly around, driving back and forth. I'm going to leave. Notice as I travel, my money is dropping down, down, down. I hope I can avoid the pirate. Oh, look at that. I was attacked. I fired a missile. I got him. I got his wreckage as bounty. I think I get 20 credits. Drat. I was trying to use up all my money to show you. Ah, I did it again. It's a little too easy to get this guy. Come on. Trying to wear down my money. Oh, he got me. Well, apparently my game is broken, so I'm going to keep on going. Oh, I want to leave. 40 credits. Still driving around. No miss. Leave. Let's repair. That'll use up money. Repair my hull. Reload my ammo. There we go. Finally. You are out of cash. Since the whole point of Asteroid Miner is to get rich, you lose. Alright, that's where my game ends. That's the only way it ends right now, is if you run out of money. I thought it would end with the Pirate Roberts. So here's my code. I've got 223 lines of code, ending with you are out of cash. Again, I'll say it again, this is too complex. You don't need to do all this, but I wanted to give a whole lot. I wanted to learn a whole lot before I gave this project to you. I start with import random. I got a title sequence. Press enter to begin. I define my characteristic variables, make sure the game knows they're all integers. My ship type, my cargo space, my speed, my ammo, my hull. Then I run through a little choose your ship, depending on the choice. If ship type is 1 or 2 or else, you know, I get different things. A cargo freighter has 50 capacity, whereas the light space yacht can only carry 15 ore at a time, but it's got a speed of 40 compared to a speed of 20. Here are some more initial conditions. I have a location name, okay, base. I have 2 locations only in this game, base or elsewhere. Okay, you're either at your base or you're elsewhere. I start with some money. I set my actual ammo to be equal to my ammo amount. Okay, in other words, give me the full capacity of my ammo. Okay, and then I set my actual hull strength to be my hull capacity. In other words, 100%. And I have no cargo. And then here is listing off all the actions that can happen. Again, I have a fight function, which, as I said, is quite long. I have a new system function, drive flight a new system. I have a search for ore function. I have a return to base function. I have a buy missile function. I have a repair function. I have a sell ore function. And then we hit the overall structure, which itself is not that long. For as long as I have more money than 0, and then it checks, are you at your home base or are you elsewhere? If you're in the base, then you get these 4 options: new system, repair, buy missile, sell ore. I'm at like a space station, I guess. If I'm elsewhere, I only have 2 options: travel back home or search for ore. If I thought harder, I could probably come up with more possibilities. I would just have to make more functions back earlier in the code to be able to use those. And then if that while money is greater than 0 loop breaks, the game ends. Yeah, so here's the place where he kills me. If I go back to the battle or fight, whatever it's called. The fight. Here we go. So your story comes to an end as the Dread Pirate Space Pirate Robot collects your floating debris. I put break. So that apparently just only jumps out of this function and then just takes me back into my main flow right here. So that's it. So work on your program, come up with a great idea, keep it simple, ask me for help, post as a draft the whatever you come up with by the middle of the week, and then we'll polish it off in the second half of the week. Thanks, guys. You've been great as always. We'll see you later.